students, how are you doing? Welcome to Naya. Awesome, Naya. Hope you all are doing great. So farmers are still crying out. And why are they crying so much? We've heard them cry so much for this year. And can you people just stop already? Because this is actually what you guys voted for, right? And also, Jack Daniels crab partnership with farmers in Tennessee County and local livestock operations left scamming. They are pissed, like at this point in time. Now, let me say this because, you know, white people call people that look like me welfare kings and queens. But sincerely speaking, if there is anybody or if there are people, a group of people that are welfare kings and queen, I definitely would say white people because literally they can't function that much without government assistance, government funds, and all that. You and I have seen how much farmers have cried out so loud over what is going on with them and how they are losing a lot of money, also going bankrupt because at this point in time, they are also bankrupt, right? Now, let me tell you this. This is actually what they voted for. It's not like anybody forced them. And one thing I have known with these people is that even if you choose to help them out today, tomorrow, they will still vote for this administration. So I am not in for anybody or trying to solicit for anybody, but this is what they voted for. Let's get into this video.
Jack Daniels, yes, the popular Tennessee whiskey company, is getting a lot of attention recently, but not for their whiskey. They're severing a long-standing friendship and relationship that they've had with farmers in the area, and it's all about slop. Now, slop is a corn byproduct made in the process of making whiskey, and farmers would gladly go take it off Jack Daniels' hands for zero to low cost so they could feed their livestock. It was a mutually beneficial relationship. But now Jack Daniels is going in a different direction. They're taking that slop and giving it to a nearby energy company to use for green energy. Farmers, though, tell me it's really leaving them out in the cold, and they just want someone to hear them because other options to feed their livestock are much more expensive. For decades, they have been getting this slop and gladly going to pick it up off of the distillery's hands for zero to low cost. That makes a difference in their livelihood, and they tell me that they just want someone to hear them.
Once you start to understand that white Americans through history have been welfare babies living in a socialist system, and that is the difference, that only black Americans have existed in a capitalist system in America, a lot of things start to make sense. When you understand the wealth gap between white and black people and you realize okay, let me explain what's going on. So farmers used to get subsidy from the government, a lot of money to continue feeding their whatever, livestock, growing, whatnot. And companies like Jack Daniels used to also, sorry, booty call. Companies like Jack Daniels used to also get a certain type of subsidy, and not so much subsidy, but tariffs. Sorry, tariffs have hurt companies like Jack Daniels, right? So now they're looking for ways to make up that money that they're losing through tariffs. So, like she said, whatever it is, the byproducts that they used to give to farmers for free, they no longer do that. Now that American farmers are faced with the reality of capitalism, they're out here begging, "Daddy, please, Daddy, give me, no, Daddy, I'm sorry, Daddy, government." Dude, when you realize how much of white America, how many wealthy, like, let me tell you, less than 0.0001% of wealthy Americans are actually genuinely wealthy through hard work. When you realize how much the United States government subsidizes the lives of farmers, Jack Daniels was, do you think black farmers get that shit? No? That's the reason you haven't seen black farmers crying or complaining, because they never got any subsidies from the government. They're the ones that had to lift themselves by the boot. Like, yo, America is a very funny place, man. But to the farmers, lift yourself by the bootstrap. Stop.
Can you believe Jack Daniels cut off all these cattle farmers that had been relying on the feed that they provided to them for free over the last 45 years? I can. I'm just a regular old guy in the middle of nowhere on my little homestead, or maybe you'd even call it a mini farm. These guys go through about 1,000 pounds of hay each every month. And I would never, even if somebody gave me feed for free, I would never count on it. I would always have a backup plan, and I certainly wouldn't feel entitled to Jack Daniels paying my way. Anyway, that's kind of how the headlines read, was that Jack Daniels is cutting them off, but really all they're doing is changing the recipe for their product, and well, they have every right to do that, and so they don't have that discarded product to give to those cattle farmers for free anymore, and that's just the way the world turns.
So Jack Daniels just told farmers in Tennessee they've got to pull themselves up by their bootstraps while they sip whiskey off their pain. So here's the deal. So for years, the Jack Daniels Company had this agreement with the farmers of Moore County, Tennessee. Farmers raise cows and Jack Daniels makes whiskey. Everybody wins, right? Because see, after you distill all that liquor, you wind up with all this waste, this grain waste that they call slop. Now, instead of just throwing it away, Jack Daniels used to give it to farmers for free or like really dirt cheap. Farmers fed their cows, Jack Daniels got rid of the waste, and everybody was winning. But as of March 31st this year, all that's done. Now, it got pulled because Jack Daniels has started using this new, what do they call it here? An anaerobic digester facility. So basically, it needs constant grain, and it eats the leftover grain for energy, so there is no waste, which means there's no more slop left for the farmers. So now they're all scrambling to find a way to feed these animals, because in a market where everything has gone up, even feed has too. Now, the craziest part of this is the government isn't stepping in to help this time. Farmers being told, figure it out, you're on your own. Which is wild, because farmers are used to getting government handouts, but this time it ain't coming. Well, this is the America you voted for. Big corporations change the rules, cut the little guy out. And the people in power are just going to shrug like it's not their problem. Elections have consequences, and not just for you, but for your cows too. The next time you pour up a glass of Jack Daniels, don't forget, somebody's cows went hungry so the distillery could save a buck. Cheers to that, America.
Hey, we might want to look at that again.
Farmers are already selling their lands, and
I definitely went and looked again. And you know, one of the first things that I saw is that Jack Daniels has had a contract to build a solar farm on where those cattle farms are since 2022. Jack Daniels is trying to take your swamp, dude. They already took it. They took your lifeline. They're making you sell your land because you can't afford it, or the cattle that you work. They are going to come in and buy the land as cheaply as they possibly can. It's a very capitalist thing to do, and it's disgusting that we allow this kind of stuff to happen, even still. What's even worse is they're going to get a tax break on it too for building the solar farm and using the solar.
We went from 12 billion to zero, and then, as a farmer, we get up one morning and you give Argentina, which is our second biggest competition in the world. They're the largest exporters of soybean meal in the world. So I get up one morning, I turn the news on, and you give $20 billion of taxpayer money to my competition. And then the Chinese buy, I think the figure is 30 or 40 containers, ships, which is about 65,000 metric tons per ship, which is like 2.2 million bushels. So they buy $12 or $14 billion worth of soybeans from the Argentinians after the tax holiday. And here's the caveat to it. They give $2.30 over the November board, while I'm getting 50 cents under the November board. We're going to plant canola this month. It's one of the few things we've found. It's moved into Arkansas. They're going to make renewable jet fuel and renewable diesel of it. We've never raised any. I had to get a loan from FSA to do it because it's an uninsurable crop through the federal crop insurance. But they would let me do it through the NAP insurance. Well, I can't even get the loan for it because there's nobody at the FSA office. There's nobody at the NRCS office. We shut the government down. They all went home.
How are your other farmers, for your friends, feeling? I know a lot of them are Trump supporters. Do they still feel good?
everybody's pretty nervous. Everybody's pretty scared. There's some of the older guys that, farm out of their pocket. They're like, I'm not doing this again. I'm not giving back 30 years worth of work. Everybody's scared to death. I got friends that are bankers that, will tell you the bank examiner is already telling them, look, you're going to have to deal with these guys because their equipment's not going to be worth as much. Their land's not going to be worth as much. I mean, this is exactly like the movie from the 80s with Sam Shepard and Jessica Lange Country. That's what's going to go down. They're going to sell people out.
Scott, meet Senator Tester.
Hello,
How you doing,
Senator.
Scott?
I talked to your office several times. When me and you was beating the drum pretty hard trying to get the Livestock Transparency Act passed. Thank you for everything you've done for us.
There are thousands of farmers just like Scott out there. And the reason they're in the situation they are is because of bad political decisions. These tariffs have destroyed the markets for farmers across the board. Family farmers. It's going to create more consolidation, and it's going to raise hell with their food security in this country if something doesn't change.
The president, he put out a message on Truth Social last hour saying that he's going to be meeting with President Xi of China and that he will discuss soybeans. Do you put much stock in that? Does that make you feel better?
Well, I mean, what good's it going to do to discuss soybeans at almost November? Because Senator Tester can correct me if I'm wrong here, but in November, the Brazilians will start cutting. They'll be in full swing by December. They don't need us. I mean, you're going to wait to have a discussion over selling soybeans when Brazil's in full bore? What bargaining power are we going to have then?
You voted for it overwhelmingly. To everybody else out there, because of what's happening with the farmers and tariffs, the word on the curb is that there is getting ready to be a price jump, an increase in costs for food. Not only a price jump for the cost of food, but because some food will be so expensive, they're not even going to stock those foods. So some foods that you've purchased in the past, you may not be able to get it in the future. This is just a word on the curb. Prepare yourself. They're saying to stock up on pantry food items. Better to be prepared and not have anything at all. All right? All right.
Not only farmers should be disgusted and absolutely embarrassed by this current fucking administration, everybody in the world should be embarrassed by what is going on right now. Guys, this single loaf of Splorn right here could feed one household for a month. Look at all these Splorn bales. But the United States Department of Agriculture is making me destroy this Splorn crop because it is unmarketable, because China will not buy our Splorn to process it into food. And so the United States government is giving me a grant to destroy these bales. Now, where's my morality? I should not accept the money, and I should donate these bales to the hungry and needy. But here's the thing. I signed my fucking life away with the Department of Agriculture, and I am legally bound to destroy these bales in order to receive my $896,000 check for this Splorn crop that I cannot market because China refuses to buy our Splorn. What the fuck, America?
On today's episode of FAFO, brought to you again by America's soybean farmers.
How are your other farmers, for your friends, feeling? I know a lot of them are Trump supporters. Do they still feel good?
Everybody's pretty nervous. Everybody's pretty scared. There's some of the older guys that, farm out of their pocket. They're like, I'm not doing this again. I'm not giving back 30 years worth of work. Everybody's scared to death. I got friends that are bankers that, will tell you the bank examiners is already telling them, look, you're going to have to deal with these guys.
And just as a friendly reminder, during the 2024 election, the state of Arkansas went 64.2% towards President Orange Man. And there's been many news reports lately that have come out with interviews from these farmers, in which most of them are saying that they actually need some sort of trade deal to go through so they can continue selling crops. Because they went from $12 billion in sales with other countries down to pretty much zero. And a lot of them are saying that they would rather have a deal go through than to take a government handout, but they're asking for a handout anyways because they're probably not going to make it through. And it looks like right now a lot of these farmers are not happy with the deal that the US has with the country of Argentina in regards to the $20 framework deal. And I'm not exactly sure as to why they're really upset, because this happened in their first term, so they knew it could happen again, and then they voted for it, and now they're expecting another bailout. But this is just another episode in the FAFO saga.
Tennessee farmers are reaching out to lawmakers seeking help as they try to deal with the impact of tariffs. Some fearing they may go under if something doesn't change soon. WRU's April Thompson shows what farmers are facing in this trade war.
The impact of tariffs hitting home on the farmland. Farmers saying they are feeling the pain of the trade war.
There's less customers available to the farmer because of the Trump tariff tax.
Tennessee State Representative G.A. Hardaway says state lawmakers have been getting an earful from local farmers.
They're saying that their markets are drying up and their costs are going up. Those countries which were buying from Tennessee, they've gone somewhere else, because the one thing you've got to have when you do business is reliability, and we're not reliable trading partners anymore because of this haphazard way that the Trump tariff tax has been executed.
He says farmers are asking local lawmakers to reach out to D.C. and ask for some stability and also some assistance. Joe Jennings is CEO and founder of Tilly, a Memphis-based agricultural company that helps farmers with business management. He has a term for what farmers are seeing.
This is probably as bad as we've seen it in well over a decade. And we've termed this Farmageddon because it's really the perfect storm.
A storm, he says, was brought on by the impact of tariffs at the same time as production cost increases.
Production, for example, here in the Mid-South, it cost over $1,000 an acre for rice producers in Arkansas and cotton producers in Mississippi, for example. $800, $900 an acre for corn and $600 for soybeans. So that's a good bit of money that they have to invest to grow crops. And with current market prices, they're all underwater.
He says farmers are losing anywhere from $100 to $300 per acre. At the same time, they're taking hits on equipment prices. Add in yields lost to floods earlier this year and just trouble with financing, farmers are in deep. Representative Hardaway fears this is only the first round.
That double whammy is going to have a lot of farms go belly up.
But Joe Jennings sees hope with federal subsidies for farmers and a decrease in insurance cost.
I think all strategies are on the table. Part of the income that we've received from the tariffs, that's a potential source of funds to help farmers. So that's being discussed now in the Congress. So they're looking at all the different ways that they can help farmers this year.
But he says there is also a must for farmers.
And it's also more important for farmers now than ever before to really be on top of their financials and their farm analysis and understanding these programs.
To keep from losing the farm. Reporting for your news leader in Memphis, April Thompson, WREG News Channel 3.
This is exactly like the movie from the 80s with Sam Shepard and Jessica Lange Country. That's what's going to go down. They're going to sell people out.
So this is all I got from this video. And this video, I don't know what it reminds me of, but it reminds me of a video that I brought. I don't know if it's similar, about a white man saying that black people doesn't deserve reparations, and that picking cotton wasn't hard. That it was so, like, he tried picking cotton and he said it is so easy. So that for that reason, there shouldn't be reparations for black people. So what I am going to say is that you already got to sort yourselves out, in essence, right? Now, let me say this. You know, these people always say that black people are looking for handouts, and you know how they always come at black people. And let me tell you this. Last I checked, black people have been on their grind right from the onset to this very moment. I am not saying that black people or black farmers do not get grants or something from government, but you and I know that for whatever that they get is usually from their own selves. Government doesn't care about black farmers. They sort themselves out. But some people can actually not function without government assistance. That's why immediately they went broke or they went bankrupt. You saw them running on the street, crying, screaming. There was nobody to pick their berries. Their strawberries are these, they're this thing, they come from it. Why? Because they do not have migrants anymore to do all that for them, so they couldn't do it. And you and I know that these people cannot do a lot by themselves, right? You know, because if they could do it, they wouldn't have been all out screaming, nobody to pick. They would have picked the berries if it were easy. They would have picked that by themselves, but no. I am not saying life is so smooth for black farmers, but you and I can see how strong black farmers are. Black people are not looking for handouts. The only thing they've been like, screaming and working towards is just for them to dismantle the system that has been oppressing them, because that system is a stumbling block. Right? They are doing their thing. Some people will be like, oh, does it mean that life isn't hard for black? Let me tell you something. It's not easy. It has not been easy. They've been doing it. Because you do not see them outside screaming doesn't mean it is so easy for them. But this is something that they've been doing. This is the life they've been living. What do you want them to do? And then in the end, they call people that look like me welfare kings and queens, when they are the real welfare kings and queens. Because if not, why are you looking for government funds? You should have done it by yourself, like black farmers are doing, right? So yeah. One thing I am also going to say is that you see these people, if you even choose to save them from their bondage today, the truth is that tomorrow they will still vote for this administration, because you all know how much they love to see people that look like me go through it. Then let me remind you of something, right? If there is election tomorrow and you ask them again, who are you going to vote? They will still vote a silly person like this one, like they have in the administration. They voted for this man the last election. Why? Because they thought that the madness wasn't going to start with them, or it will never ever touch them like as usual, because it has always been black people and other people of color going through it. But the universe got a way of showing people how messy they are. So he decided to let them vote for this particular one. And this particular one is whooping their butts real good. I will draw the curtain here. And mind you, this video I made this video before. As you can see, I'm on my couch. And the video deleted. I don't know how we deleted it, but yeah, I decided to do it again. I love you, my people. Bye for now.